So this song is called Dragons, and I'm gonna let my wife talk just for a minute about this song.
So this song we wrote, it touches my heart for a couple of reasons. My mother-in-law was part of an abusive relationship with my father-in-law, and she suffered at his hand. But myself, I suffered from domestic, I guess you would call it domestic abuse. I was in a relationship, and this guy decided he wanted to use me as a punching bag. So this song deals with emotion. It deals from the heart of the abused. It deals with aging. It deals with it deals with the confusion that comes with it, thinking, you know, from the heart of the abused, that you're not good enough, that you're not loved. It's something that you're doing wrong. It's something that you've done that's keeping you from finding that fairy tale relationship, and that everything that's happened is because of you. And this song is called Dragons.
Diamonds in her eyes are turning gray. The clouds are closing in with age. She don't walk like she used to. She don't dance. She's got scars on her heart from a dragon named romance. The mirror sings her lines from a wicked past. She thinks she's the reason love won't last. So she takes another drink of yesterday and buries her condition in a pillow. I can hear her everything about her says You know, as I was playing that last part of the song, I just thought about, a lot of times we want to ask God, why did this happen to me? Why all this pain? My brother was 29 years old. We grew up together. We lived the same hell on earth growing up, went through the same things. And he started using drugs and things 4 years before me because I was 4 years older than him. And he got into all the stuff I got into, hung out with all my friends. And so he was literally smoking weed at like 8 years old. And he got into more trouble than me because he got a bigger head start kind of thing. But he came around to the Lord in his 20s. He and I played music together for many years growing up. We were into Kiss, who wasn't in those days in the late 70s. And he, we played hard rock and heavy metal, that kind of thing. And then when he came around to the Lord, we formed a Christian band, and we were playing, again, bands can't really be Christians. We were a band of Christians. And he was playing on the worship team at the church. He was studying for the ministry. Finally had come around after even longer, more trouble. He got more trouble, did more stuff than I ever did. But he came around. He was serving Jesus. Sitting behind me in the drum kit on a Sunday night, I guess it was January 31st, 1997, I think it was. 2 days later, actually at the end of that service, he was praying with a young man that was part of our church that was really going through some struggles mentally and drugs and whatnot. My brother had this radical, heart. He would bring drug addicts to his house, and I'd be like, Andrew, those guys are going to rob you blind. And he'd say, man, I don't care about stuff. I just want to love on these guys, So anyway, at the end of the service, he was praying with this young man. 2 days later, I got a phone call, emergency phone call. I was in a meeting to let me know my brother had been found dead. Long story short, this boy had kicked his door in the middle of the night, and by his own confession, raised a rifle and said, this is from the river of death. He said he just wanted to know what it felt like to kill somebody. Now, I never asked God why. I mean, maybe down the road I did. But from the minute I got that phone call until why am I shooting this video, the question isn't why did that happen to me, God? The question is, how do I respond to this? It's already happened. God will use your scars, or actually your wounds. If you will trust him with the wound, he'll heal it, and it'll leave a scar, and you'll run around telling people about the healer for the rest of your life. And so, trust me, the murder of my brother left a really big hole in my heart. But my prayer to God was, how do I respond to this? Some bad things have happened to some of you. You need to understand that where you've been wounded the deepest is where you carry the most authority to be used of God. I can talk to you about how suddenly losing a sibling like that, I've been broken there. I've been broken in other places, but I wasn't molested as a child. Many of you, some of you anyway, I'm sure were. And if that's a deep wound, you keep lifting it up to Jesus. He'll not only heal it, he'll cause it to become a scar, and you'll be able to speak to people with authority that I don't have. And so sometimes we're tempted to say, why, God, why? I would say, pray this. Lord, how do I respond to what's already happened? Listen, you can't change the past. The past is good for one thing, to stand on and reach for the future that God has for you. And not only that, man, when you think about the pain in this world, it's caused by sin. We all contributed to that, by the way. Your sin might be different than mine, but we all invest in the sin system that causes lying, cheating, stealing, murder, all those kinds of things. And so we all should come before God saying, Lord, forgive me for being part of the problem, and now use me to be part of the solution.